Hello, today we're talking about fitness for your first 14er climb. Hi there everyone, I'm Jason. Here in the United States, there's a large contingent of people who want to be able to hike to the summit of a peak that stands above 14,000 feet in elevation. The vast majority of those peaks are not technical mountains, meaning that you're not required to navigate roped climbing, nor glaciers and the threat of crevasses. So when you remove the glaciated mountains in Alaska and Washington, you're left with peaks in Colorado and California. For those of you who are either brand new to 14ers and are thinking about attempting your first one, or for those of you who are maybe a few peaks in but are now thinking about expanding to some more physically demanding peaks, I wanted to share how I approach getting ready for these mountains. And I'll do that by doing a short series of videos. So if you are new or newish to the 14er community, let us know in the comment section what your first or maybe your next summit attempt is going to be. So this is the first in a series, and today we're talking about setting and working towards fitness markers that allow me to hike 14ers with confidence. We'll be getting into gear, trip planning, and deeper into altitude and acclimatization in later videos. Like a lot of Coloradans, I got started in the mountains on 14ers. I then moved to 13ers to get away from the crowds, and then into technical routes, then more extreme altitude, and then combining technical climbing with altitude. So after hundreds of summits and trips to all three of the Great Ranges in Alaska, the Andes, and the Himalaya, I've learned a lot about preparing my body for tall peaks. When you remove the need for training to achieve very technical objectives, then I think about three different variables when I think about fitness markers, like I was talking about earlier. That's hiking distance, vertical gain, and pack weight. You're going to hear me say 125% a lot in this video. The reason is that altitude makes everything harder. So to hedge against the difficulty altitude is going to bring, I want to make sure that I can train beyond the parameters of my objective when I'm not at 14,000 feet or above. Distance is the first of those parameters that I want to be able to achieve at 125% of the peak's ask. If a summit attempt would require a 10-mile round trip, like say the West Ridge route from Loveland Pass on Torrey's Peak, then I want to be comfortable with going 12.5 miles round trip. If I was doing a multi-day trip for any reason, then I'm going to use the number of miles that I'm going to need to do in my longest day as my barometer. So you can build up mileage on your hikes wherever you're locally able to find them. You just want your legs and feet to be able to put up with the pounding that you're going to put on them. Next is vertical gain. Again, I'm looking to be comfortable doing 125% of the vertical gain I'm going to need for my 14er objective. Keeping with our hypothetical climb of Torrey's Peak via the West Ridge, that route gains 5,500 vertical feet. The reason is that you go up and down to lower summits, Cupid and Grizzly Peak A, while you're on that route. And those summits have to be re-summited on the way back. Which brings up a good training point. It can be hard to find enough vertical gain to train on if you aren't going to the higher peaks. There just isn't enough altitude between the trailhead and the height of the peak to get enough gain. Well, just like with this Torrey's Peak West Ridge route, you can string together multiple lower peaks and get the up-down you need, or you can repeat a peak multiple times. As we're doing all this hiking, we also need to consider pack weight. Again, I would like to train up to 125% of this metric. I found that not only will this help me with the added difficulty of exerting myself at altitude, but it'll also make my eventual summit pack feel light across my shoulders once it is time to go out and attempt my peak. To create training weight, besides just carrying the gear that you're going to need on your summit attempt, and we'll be getting into gear specifics in our next video, it's easiest to just add extra water to your pack to make up the needed weight difference. That way, should you ever get overexerted while you're out training, or if you have bad knees or something and need to drop weight for the downslope hiking, you can reduce weight in the least environmentally impactful way by just dumping some water. So how do you progress all of this? We have to string all of this stuff together. By far, the simplest way to build up to a 14er is to attempt some 13ers first. Most of the 14ers have surrounding sub-peaks, so you get the same trailhead access and same starting point of elevation. You just don't need to go quite as high and oftentimes, therefore, not quite as far. but not everyone lives near 13ers. So then it becomes a matter of a kind of hiking version of progressive overloading, to borrow the resistance training term. I like to play with the distance and vertical gain first, and once I'm comfortable, then add in the pack weight. Pack weight makes a big difference. 5 pounds on your back equates to about 5% more energy used. That doesn't sound like a lot until you consider that you're going to burn 3,000 to 4,000 calories on a 14er hike. So 5% is 150 to 200 calories, and that grows exponentially. So a 20-pound pack will cost you well over 500 calories on the day, or the equivalent of going out and jogging for an hour on top of your 14er climb. And more than just the energy is the muscle fatigue in your knees and shoulders when they aren't used to carrying more than your body weight. So in order to not force too many changes on my body at once, I like to bump up my distance and vertical together and then add in the pack weight to catch up, and I do that in stages. So a typical progression would be 80% of my vertical and distance and 80% of my pack weight. Then 100% vertical and distance with still 80% of my pack weight. Then 100. Then I would bump up distance again, maybe to 115%, or if I'm feeling good, maybe all the way up to 125%, but still keeping my pack weight at that 100% capacity. Once I feel good on that distance and vertical, time to bump up the pack weight again till I'm at 125% across the board. At that point, I feel ready for my attempt. And as far as frequency, I know we all lead busy lives, so I simply try to make sure that I'm getting in at least 60 minutes of good exercise every day, and then I add in this distance, vertical, pack weight progression once a week. And if at any one progression step I am feeling like this is too hard, then I just step back to the previous progression stage. So I hope this information sets a pretty good blueprint of how you can feel fit and confident in your body as you take on a 14er or a high altitude hike. As I mentioned, there's more to come in talking about gear, planning, and acclimatization, so stay tuned. But fitness seems like the right starting point since it takes some time to build that fitness up. So do you have any other specific training methods that you use that you're thinking of adapting to your 14er preparation? Let us know in the comments section. If you want additional thoughts related to this video and every video that we produce, along with links to the equipment we discuss, sample gear lists, sample itineraries, and links to other outdoor resources, please visit our website at shortguysbetaworks.com. The link's in the description below. And if you want to be alerted as we release new content, please subscribe and ring that bell. We produce educational content like this, as well as short films of our family adventures, and we release something new every week. So if you have ideas for content that you'd like to see, you can let us know those in the comment section too. We'll see you again soon, and keep on getting more out of that big outside.